Hey, what's up, you guys? I've got a ASP.NET project here. It comes from this tutorial on the ASP.NET documentation site. It's a tutorial for using Razor Pages with Entity Framework. Really good one. I will show it to you right now. Give me one second. I'm just going to run it. Okay, it came onto another screen. So this is the main page. This is what it looks like. You go to students, you get a list of students, and there's paging, so you can do next and previous. So we'll go to the next page, go to the next page, and go back and go back. And what I want to show you is, in this video, I want to show you how we can solve what I call the tag helper, the stringly typed tag helper problem. So that's stringly typed, not strongly typed. Let's see. So here's the code. We were looking at the students list, right? So we're going to go to the students folder, go to index.cshtml. We've got the backend file here. Of course, this is Razor Pages, right? So we've got the markup and then the C# file. And right here on the screen, I have the code for the previous button, and then the code for the next button. So right, next, and then previous. And I'm going to focus on the next button. If you look at what's going on here, ASP page indicates what page we want to hit. So it's index right here under students. You can see we've got the different pages, create, delete, etc. And then we're going to hit index. And these are the different route parameters, and the values were the arguments we're going to have in those parameters. So here we've got sort order, page index, current filter. So what do those correspond to? They basically correspond to this right here. Let me see if I can move this over. Okay, when we push this, the next button, ultimately this method is going to be called onGet async, right? It's in the C#, the back end, I guess you could say, of the index page. And so these route parameters here, they correspond to these parameters of the onGet async method. And you can see they're sort order, there's sort order, page index, there's page index, etc. Let's see, what else do I want to show you? Okay, so what is the stringly typed problem? Well, right here when we're saying, and please forgive me, I think sometimes the mouse doesn't show up in OBS software, so I'll try to be mindful of highlighting things when I'm talking about them. But here where we say ASP page /index, okay, well, we're referring to the index page. But what if there's a typo? What if somebody, well, whatever, just put something else, index ABC. There is no page index ABC, but I can save it. I can build the project. Okay, this is an error not due to the building. Sorry, I have Dropbox syncing right now, and pause indefinitely. Okay, sorry, if you have Dropbox running and you have a Visual Studio project on there, sometimes the syncing messes with the build I found. So anyways, let me build again. That error we got was not because of this. I can prove it to you. Let me build one more time. There you go, succeeded, right? And that's with this reference to a non-existent page. So that's a problem. This should, ideally, this would be statically typed and checked so that at compile time, if we refer to a non-existent page, it gives us an error. So not only does it run or build, but I do Control F5 off screen. I'll bring it on here. It will run. If we go to students, if we go to next, it basically just says, well, that page doesn't exist. I'm still going to generate some code. Let me do Control U to get to the code, and it's down here. Here's what was generated. So you can see previous one, which we didn't change, href/students, and then the parameter was page index is equal to 0. Next, as you can see, href is just blank. So it kind of just threw up its hands and said, okay, I'm not going to generate anything. I couldn't find the page. So there you go. There's a runtime bug, or yeah, I guess what you would consider a bug, from a typo, essentially. That's not good. I'm sure there's millions of dollars that have been lost to stuff like this. That's bugs that are just sitting out there right now due to that issue. But let's go further and say there's a typo in one of the the route parameters. Again, we'll put some extra text in here. We'll save. Let's now remember down here looking at the onGetAsync method. Sort order is this parameter right here. So obviously the spelling should match. But here we've changed it and no squigglies, nothing. Control B to build. Yep, it worked. And let's do Control F5. So not only does it build, but it runs. And in fact, we can get to the screen the same way as before. So let's see. So that's a problem. We messed up a parameter here. By default, when you hit next, if you look at the URL down there, it's not actually including sort order. We would actually have to change the sort order. So let me click that. Now if we hit next, now if you look at the URL down there, which I don't know if OBS is going to show it to you, but I can see it on my screen. So let me just look at the source again, go down to next. In this case, our next button, href right here, you can see sort order ABC, and ultimately that's going to be sent to them. It's going to try to call the method with that, and it's going to, and ASP.NET is going to say, yeah, I don't see a parameter that matches that spelling, so yeah. Okay, let's do the page index one. Let's take out this one. So let's take this parameter here, page index, and change, let's add some text there, ABC. So that clearly doesn't map onto any of these parameters. It's page index is just page index, but we've added some text. Let's see, Control B, does it build? Yes, it does. And does it run? Okay, yes, it does. Let's go to students. Let's go to, okay, so next, you can see there, it's going to do page index ABC is equal to 2, which it doesn't do anything. It doesn't jump to the next page. So there you go. Introduced the typo and, not caught at compile time. And in fact, it's another runtime bug. So let's undo that. Okay, so how can we fix this? How can we make this strongly typed? Well, we can use a library called R4MVC. I'm currently in the master branch of my project, and I have created another branch here, R4MVC demonstration A. No changes in here yet. It's still the same project, and I will walk you through how to use R4MVC. Okay, so to set up the library, got three, I guess you could call it 3 different steps. The first is you want to install the nuget package, so nothing unusual there. Here's the line for that, right? Pretty standard. You do have to add -- pre-release because they don't have a full, I guess a final version that's released yet. Still in pre-release, so without this flag it gives you an error. So hit that, it'll do its thing. Install the package. Okay, looks good. The next step is, so like with Entity Framework, you get a command line tool that you can use. R4MVC has a similar command line tool, and so we want to install that one. Let me get the command to do that. Copying that, I'll paste it in here. So this is it, right here, R4MVC. .tools.cli. Again, because it's they don't have like a final release yet, you have to specify the version. I tried it without the version and it does give you an error. So, and it actually recommended the most recent version as part of the error message, so I just used that one. As of this recording, that's the version. That's the latest. So I'm going to run, actually, well, I already have it installed, so you're just going to see a message saying it's already installed. So in your case, if you haven't installed it before, obviously you'll get something different. And finally, so okay, we've installed the package, we've installed the command line tool. Now we're ready to run a command with the R4MVC tool. Bring it over here. That's what it is, R4MVC generate. This basically scans your project files for your MVC files, your Razor pages, and well, let's watch what it does. Okay, it's doing its thing. It's looking at our project, building the project, and it's generating a bunch of pages. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so obviously before I was here in Visual Studio, I was doing this in Visual Studio Code just because I have PowerShell running in there. Okay, let's come back here and we were in Solution Explorer. Let's go to the Git changes, and this is a summary of what has changed, right? So in the PowerShell terminal, we saw that it generated a bunch of files. As we can see, those are showing up here. So yeah, so that's what it did there. Next step. All right, so we've installed R4MVC. We've run the generate command. Now we're ready to use it. So next step here is I'm going to go to so I want to use the tag helpers that it provides. And there's a file here. Okay, a few imports, right? There's already something here for add tag helper. For some of the standard tag helpers, we want to add another line. And I've got that right here. Give me 1 second. There you go. That's what you want to put in. Add tag helper, right? R4MVC. Good. And after that, let me see what I want to do next. Okay, so that's it. We've got our tag helpers imported. Let's go back to the index page and let's change one of these. Now, all right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add, actually I'll put it here. Let's add another version of the next button. This time, instead of using the regular ASP.NET Core tag helper, we're going to use the R4MVC provided tag helper for the A tag. So let's do A. Okay. Now, instead of A, okay. With this tag helper, we said ASP page, and then the different route values. All right, R4MVC was initially designed to work with ASP.NET Core MVC, but believe it or not, it does appear to work with Razor Pages. I found an issue in their GitHub that one of the primary developers, I believe there's two, one of the lead devs, he basically said, hey, I've been using it with Razor Pages. It seems to work well. So yeah, that's what made me kind of give it a shot here. So, but I'm saying all that to show you this next part. Instead of saying ASP page, the way that this tag helper works is you say MVC action. Even though we're not using MVC directly, we're using Razor Pages. And so inside here, we're going to say, in a lot of the documentation for R4MVC, you'll see them reference MVC dot something. But if you look through the pop-up list, you see MVC. You also see MVC pages. Let's use that. Okay, if we do completion on that, we see something that's promising. We see students. All right, cool. So that corresponds to our students pages. Next up, we see, okay, look, this is what I'm talking about. Now you're getting completion for the different pages, right? You've got our create, delete, details, etc. Well, in this case, we're dealing with index. So let's keep going. Let's go to index. Let's go a little further. Before, it wasn't even clear which method was being called in the regular tag helper. So now let's do a dot on that, and let's do there's the different methods show up here. We're going to go to onGetAsync. That's the method that we want, which I showed you earlier. Actually, I'm going to get it on screen again, and I will drag it down here so that we can have it on the display. Okay, there's our method, onGetAsync. That's the one we're invoking here from the tag helper. Okay, so again, it's going to show us IntelliSense for the method. So even if we didn't pop it open, we'd still get some help. It's got a couple of options there for us. There we go. That's the one we want, 4 different parameters. Okay, let's continue filling it in. Now, to make it look like the original tag helpers implementation where you have the parameter name along with the value, instead of just putting in values here, I'm going to use the named parameters. So, and I'm going to go to a new line because why not? Let's do sort order. There it is. And now we're going to use the same value that we used in the previous one, which is model.currentSort. Okay, good. Next one, it is for current filter. So let's do current filter. The value we're passing to that is model.current current filter. Okay, good. After that, search string. So if you look at the original code that we had, we actually don't pass a value to that. So let's pass it null. Okay, good. And finally, last parameter, page index. And so we can see there that we do page index is model dot students dot page index plus 1. Okay, that's looking good. Let's close paren. I'm going to move the double quote there as well. Okay, so these lines basically now are replaced with this. Okay, the rest of the A tag is going to be the same. So we've got this class here, CSS class that is. And let's go and put in, okay, let's put next as the label, but let's put an asterisk just to indicate that this is our new version of the next button. We're going to save. Yeah, that looks good. One more thing just for, to make it kind of line up visually. I'm going to align these. There we go. Makes it look a little more clear. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's build it. Okay, it built, and let's run it. I know I don't have to build and then run, but it's just nice to explicitly check and to show you guys that everything worked. Okay, we'll go to students. All right, we see our new version of the next button. If we hover over the original one, we can see the URL. The new one looks the same. Let's just try it out. Hit next a couple times. Yep, it's working. And moreover, let me, okay, go to students to reset. Let's just look at the source and see what it generated, because this is a different tag helper. There you go. Here's the original one. Importantly, we're looking at the href value, and here's the new one. And the href is the same. Very nice. So my point in showing you this was just to kind of introduce you to this R4MVC library. It's really easy to install, really easy to use, and I mean, how can you not want these strongly typed tag helpers? I mean, it's pretty neat. I think using a language like C#, one of the things it gives you is static types. That's one of the benefits, is to catch issues at compile time. If you look at, for example, let me pull up. All right, so there are other web frameworks like Rocket for Rust, and on their front page of their website, if you scroll down a bit, very prominently displayed is this one feature, typed URIs, right here. And if you go to that, it shows us an example, right? So they've got something like our method that we were calling. Theirs is called person. It's got 2 parameters, name and age. And here you have they're setting up a URI which maps onto that method, right? And so they've got this URI macro, and here they're indicating which method will eventually be called, right? It's person, and they're passing the values. And this is all statically checked. If there's an issue, it'll report the issue at compile time. So, and in fact, down here they show an example of that. So here they're calling person with only 1 argument, and as you saw above, person requires 2 arguments. So it gives you compile time error, which is nice. And over here is another example where they're passing a string to age, and age should be a number. So anyways, yeah, there are other web frameworks that do support this kind of statically typed URIs, etc. And so yeah, it'd be really nice if this sort of thing was built into ASP.NET Core. Maybe someday it will be. I know that the team has been very busy just advancing .NET as well as the framework, the web framework. So can't be too hard on them for not adding really cool features like this. But hopefully once the dust settles and they've caught up on features that they want to add, maybe they can add something like this. So here's an issue in the ASP.NET Core. issues list where actually is somebody asking about. There's an older. So I'm showing you R4MVC here. They're talking about T4MVC. It's an older version of the project and asking about. So there is some interest in having this implemented there. This is a really long time ago. Maybe it's time to revisit it. But anyways, so yeah, that's all I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully you can try it out. I I would say like on small projects, this would probably be fun to use. Obviously, experimental stuff or hobby things. I think it's fine to implement this. I haven't used it enough to say whether or not this is would be a good idea to use like on a big production project. But it's really awesome project. The two devs that worked on it are really great, genius guys. So great work. I love the project. Yeah, I hope you check it out. All right, thanks.